All right, take 2, session 3. I don't have anything left for the podcast. We've been talking so much about life, love, stress, and setbacks. You know what I mean? That was an Atmosphere reference. Do you know Atmosphere? You fucks with Atmosphere?
No.
Old school white rapper and just like talk about like angsty white people stuff?
I don't mess with white rappers.
Like breakups and stuff like that?
Nah,
like alcoholism, kids and shit?
None of that. I'm not talking about... It sounds like country for white rappers, and I'm
pretty
good.
much the same. If you really think about it, it's the same topics, really. Yeah. Drinking, guns, drugs, women. It's all the same topics. Cars.
Just with a different beat.
Different we need some of that. We need a little more hip hop.
Country
hip hop. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't actually think we do. I think we're good without.
You think so?
I think we're good. I think we managed this far.
There's a few blends I feel like we need.
I don't think it needs to happen. Man, we've got, is it UFC 308 or not? What's the
309?
309. John Jones, Stipe Miocic, the fight that never needed to happen, but here we are. We have it,
dude. And the one fight that does need to happen, Aspinall and Jones. Have you seen Jones on Twitter? Like, just like he's like ruining his legacy in one swoop.
No, what's he doing?
He's just like on defending himself. Like, I don't need to defend my belt against Aspinall. What has he proven? When he gets a career like me, now we can go. But for right now, like nothing.
I don't think he's ruining his legacy with that. I think at the end of the day, people are going to remember records. And I think people like to talk right now while people are still around. But think of like Fedor, when he was considered the greatest heavyweight of all time for a while. And then he lost some fights, and just fought way past his prime. You see that with boxers all the time. They fight past their prime, but everyone knows they're past their prime. And then once they retire, they're right back in the GOAT conversation again.
I just disagree with you completely because Bernard Hopkins is my favorite boxer of all time. I love B-Hop. What he did, I watched that fight with Trinidad a million times a year. And my last memory of B-Hop is getting knocked out and falling out of the ring, like through the ropes, falling out of the ring. That's the last image on people's mind.
Yeah, but he's still considered one of the greatest fighters in that weight class.
Like, Fedor pulling his big old gut out and getting knocked out every week.
Look at Roy Jones Jr. Like, he was one of the best boxers to ever jump in the ring.
And now he's fighting on Triller for pennies.
Yeah, but he's like pre-40 Roy Jones Jr. was phenomenal. And it's like 41 to 78-year-old Roy Jones. People know.
Seeing John Jones pull his big old gut out and go fight Cyril Gahn was embarrassing. And now, like he's on Twitter. Sometimes the best response is nothing. Hey, you're ducking Aspinall. Just don't say a word. Why you got to go and defend yourself? You're making it look worse.
This coming from the person who I've never seen not respond.
Well, I'm starting today. Actually, I'm not even going to respond to that. That doesn't even deserve a response out of me.
You can't. There's no take backsies. You already responded. And
no, I didn't respond.
I'm taking back my response by
not responding. You would know if I responded, and I'm not responding, clearly.
This is where we're at. I'm dealing with children my entire life. Man, so last week was wild. We had 500 people fight on LFA.
Yes. Craziness.
Hello, Camuela.
Yes, producer Gabe. Not the Gabe that fought Jacoby Jones, but Gabriel Kirk.
Gabriel Kirk,
yes.
The Jawaian. I tried you. I'm actually mad at you, Gabriel, because I'm not wearing a Jawaian shirt right now. And I actually tried to go to put on your Jawaian shirt from your fight. And I dug through my bag and I had 2 Natividad shirts. And I think gross. I have your Natividad shirt. And I think you took, because I had to take my Jawaian shirt off to put Casey Tanner's shirt on for the next fight.
I have it with me, actually.
Yeah, I think you took it, you son of a bitch.
I didn't take it. It was in my bag.
You took it. I have 2 Hawaiian Punch Natividad shirts, one of which I believe is yours.
No. Because I have my Hawaiian Punch Natividad shirt as well.
Well, I have someone's Hawaiian Punch.
Someone snagged it from Christian.
Yeah. I have 2 Hawaiian Punch Natividad shirts and 0 Jawaiian shirts, but I was going to wear that today.
The biggest hit out of all the shirts you ever worn was the Iraq shirt. That was your biggest. When Amir was fighting, everyone was like, "Where's? I hope Santino comes out in the shirt. I hope he comes out in the shirt."
I would.
I have more Jawaiian shirts than any other thing in my entire wardrobe.
Oh, I bet.
You've cost me thousands on T-shirts. I've had more sex in your shirts. Just know I'm always thinking of you. Every time I get an erection, it's induced by the Jawaian.
This shirt is on soft cotton tri-blend.
Hey, take that off. No.
Last week bets went well.
Why the fuck is it hot in here now? It's hot in here.
It is hot in here. I turned the AC off because it's kind of cold out. But,
geez.
We might need to turn the AC back on.
I'm going through the same thing at home. I can't get the temperature right because it's cold outside, and then I turn on the heat. Now,
are you going through menopause?
I might be.
Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna show a
Hot
little
sweats.
crevasse on the podcast.
I like
so.
that. We did well. I want to like hate to all the haters out there that talk so much trash on the comments. People are like, you guys are idiots. Cordavius Jr. is gonna murder Bolanos, and I mean, just stuff like, I don't care if people disagree all you want and have Discord, and I like chatting and talking, but people are so horrible.
Well, the bigger issue is that people don't actually listen. So last week I said, hey, I would love to make a case for Dusko. I would love to if I could,
Yeah.
but I cannot.
And you were listing the stuff that he does well. And then afterwards, you're like, that said, Mansour's going to win, yada, yada.
And I think he's going to finish him. And then someone goes, well, you guys are just saying that stuff for shock value. You're saying Dusko's going to win, Gaston's going to win. And I said, you guys usually, it's one thing if you disagree with us and you actually listen to what we say, but you're not listening to what we say. And then just say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. People are just bad at being humans. It's the internet has ruined stuff because the things that are said in the comment section of any social media platform, nobody would say that to anybody's face. And here's the thing is all of you commenters out there that are snide, those are thoughts. And in reality, you couldn't say those. And social media gives people in their basement a platform to speak without the recourse of getting slapped. And
you know what they are?
What are they?
A bunch of homeless cats.
They're a bunch of homeless cats.
They wouldn't say that. They are homeless cats.
But yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, social media has given people who shouldn't have a voice and don't deserve a voice, the ability to be snide and say things like that and hide behind usernames. And I really like, I don't respond like meanly. I'm, you know what I mean? Like people hate me. Like you have no idea how many people hate me. And it's just weird.
2 other ones are sitting in the room right now.
I know, but you guys will at least tell me it to my face. And it just so happens that I can't beat you guys up. So I don't respond. But yeah, it's just weird. I just people are so mean. Like absolutely disagree with anyone and everyone, and
everybody love everybody.
Yeah,
I heard that a wise man once said that.
Well, let's get into these fights because
hold on, I just seen the funniest trend on
what's that? What's the funny trend?
Yeah, on TikTok? It's just a thing I saw today. I don't go on TikTok very often, but I seen this thing. This guy. So it makes me wish I was bigger and blacker. Most days I wish that. Anyways, I want to play in the NBA, but you know, genetics. Is what it is.
We are where we are.
So this big black dude just got out of jail and he started this company where you pay and list your complaint about your employer. And then the guy goes into the business and says all your complaints word for word to the employer's face. He's like, you're a racist. You think you own the place and you smell like ass. You always wear the same shirt every day. And the people, they're getting mad at him, but they're not going to fight him because he's big black guy. Like he'll whoop their ass. And
that's what I need in life.
Every time they're like, yeah, it says right here, you're racist. And they go, get that black man out of here. You go, see, look right here. I'm going to bankrupt you. Oh, that shit was so funny.
Oh man, I need to start something like that.
What a great business idea.
Right?
And then,
that'd be awesome.
So what he does too, this is even better. Like there's so much money in this world, you just forget. Like you can just snap your fingers, boom, money. This dude goes to the business, and if the owner's not there, like the employer or whatever, he calls him on the phone and goes, you need to pay me a $3,500 no-show fee for not being here at the business. I doubt he ever gets it, but maybe he gets 1 or 2.
It's funny. Who's
the employer here? Actually, you know, Kamala would have to do that to us. Technically, we're his employer, right? How funny would that be? You hire that guy to come in, he just stands
He just knocks on the door and just stands
in the middle of the pod.
Yeah. I don't think he needs to hire that, though. He could just stand there and start talking shit to us, and we'd just
what are we going to do?
Pay him and go away.
All right, let's get into the fight. Sorry for TikTok.
Yeah, we actually have to make this somewhat early. We were supposed to make it quick for Camuela so he could get out of here early. It's actually Lennox's birthday tomorrow, so we have his birthday party today.
How many days does he get?
Man, well, they don't have school today, so.
Oh, I was like, why party on a Monday?
They're doing like a bowling with some friends and all that, the whole bit. So let's go. We've got UFC 30 something in Madison Square Garden this week. First fight of the night.
We have Veronica Hardy minus 148 versus Eduarda Moura plus 124.
I actually watched tape on this. I didn't watch tape on the other one. There's 2 women's fights, and I was like, I'll look at one.
This one's a great one to watch. I had to get the petroleum jelly ready for this one.
You had to put your Hawaiian shirt on for this one.
I will only beat off with the Hawaiian shirt on. I just want to make a note on this one. So Eduarda Moura is moving up a weight class.
Yes.
You knew this.
Yes.
Okay.
She missed weight twice at 115.
She's fucking bigger than me.
She is massive. The first time she missed weight by like 82 pounds. And the second time she missed weight by half a pound. And the first one she missed was Montserrat, who's the smallest human ever. That was brutal.
You know, I started watching the tape and I'm like looking and I'm like, oh, I see it says straw weight bout. And I was like, there's no way this is a straw weight bout. She's huge. Even watching her contender series, she's 5'6". She probably is closer to 5'7", 5'8".
Yep.
She's tall.
I think they listed Veronica Hardy at 5'6", with I think was it 68-inch reach or 64-inch, whatever. I think Moura has a inch reach or an inch advantage of reach on Veronica. And I think they're listing them at the same height. But I would not be surprised to see Moura come out looking like the bigger
Oh,
fighter.
I totally agree. I've kind of forever thought that Moura should have been up and Hardy should have been down.
She's got some thick legs, though,
She
Hardy.
does.
And I think that she looks like she should be able to make the weight. But when you look at her ass and her legs, I think that's just too much weight to chop off.
You always told me this. You got to look at the woman's legs. She's older in life. She's going to be a thick chick. Yeah.
Big boned. Veronica, she moves 3-fight win streak.
She looks
after
great.
A 3-fight losing streak. She looks good. Her striking is really good. Her footwork is great. She moves in and out well. She's very fast. She does all the right stuff. She's married to Dan Hardy. That is just upping her.
Great game planning, fight IQ. She's awesome.
It really is. And then on the other side of it, you have Moura, who's just a physical beast, who I don't think her cage wrestling is great. I think her timing of her blast doubles are good when she gets underneath people and they're not expecting it. That said, when I was first watching her, I was like, oh, her striking's not bad. Like she has that Brazilian pull right hand fire kind of thing. The chin's kind of high, but she swings and she's decent. I mean, her striking's not bad. She's not going to outstrike Veronica, but it's not like it's not like it's not like she has to like death grapple or she's going to get knocked out. Like she's one of those. The two things about this fight for me is on the Moura side, does she gas out? Because she faded hard in that last fight. Was that Denise Gomes?
Yes, but she did fight hard until the end.
She did.
She made it.
But she was getting stuffed and she was only grappling and not punching at all, whereas Gomes was striking. And it comes down to a lot of it is the grappling. I mean, control versus damage type of stuff. And Gomes won that. And then on the other side of that with Veronica I think Veronica's way to win is actually to offensively wrestle Moura early, because we've seen that where she pushes people against the fence. And she not a great wrestler or anything, but she needs to slow Moura down. In the Montserrat fight, Moura didn't get tired at all because there was no opposition. She was just able to take her down, and it was very easy for her. You put a little fight in front of her, and then, it's going to be a little harder. I think if Veronica wrestles her early, and what that will do is it's going to take away the timing of that shot where she just gets under her and puts her on her back. And so I think if she does it early. Now, Veronica will stay on her back. She'll play on her back for a while. And I don't think she's...
That's why Hardy loves her.
Yes. So I don't think she's going to like take a beating there, and I don't think she's going to get submitted, but does she just ride out clock? I like Veronica here because I think she will damage versus control. I think the gas tank. I also think it's very common for people to go up a weight class and then miss weight because they think, oh, I'll just lose the weight and blah, blah,
I'm better
blah.
off here.
Yeah, and they just kind of wait and they don't diet the same way. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if this cut is equally as hard for her as 15 is. She'll probably make the weight because she'll have the weight to cut. But I wouldn't be surprised if she gasses, especially with the crowd and all the energy and all the craziness. So I do like Veronica here. I'm not like super excited about that decision, but I think she's the smarter fighter with better cardio and better stand-up.
I would tend to agree with you, but I'm actually going to go the other way on this one. And here's why. I've been a big Hardy girl. Like since she returned and came back with a new name instead of Macedo, she's Hardy. I picked her against Juliana Miller. I picked her in her last fight. Buddy Tyrone wanted to bet me $5,000 off the record, and I should have just done that. I mean, he was like, oh, JJ is going to whoop her. JJ made it a decently close fight. Now, I think JJ's striking process is much better than Eduarda Moura's striking process. That's the thing. Moura's a good kicker puncher, but she's not a good striker. If like she doesn't
Yeah.
have a process. There's not a jab to set up this and set up that. It's just
She'll land,
punch.
but she's not going to put together a systematic game plan and
break you down.
Break you down.
Yeah. But her grappling is good. And I'm with you. Her cage wrestling is actually kind of pathetic and not very good, but she is extremely physical and she does find a way to get these takedowns. She'll shrug even against Diniz, right? She was getting in a front headlock, something like that. And she shrugged her off, boom, knee tapped her and took her down. And it was really impressive. She had some really bad, pathetic shots, but then one time Diniz threw a big like hook at her and she just dropped her level, hit a low single and took her down. It was really, really impressive actually.
But out in the open.
Out in the open.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Hardy's really hard to get a hold of, but if she does go down, and she has shown she can be taken down, she does lay on her back for a long time. And I think Moura has the best jiu-jitsu out of anyone we've seen her fight as of late, and probably the better wrestling. Like JJ Aldrich is just good everywhere, but not great anywhere.
And JJ is a lot bigger, though. I think JJ was big, and Hardy handled her physicality very well.
But, you know, looking at JJ, like we talked, she's got a gut. She could go down to 115. You got Moura, who's on, you know, she's a walking pharmacy and moving up. I think that the move up's actually going to help her cardio. She still made it a fight with Diniz Gomez, who's very dangerous, right? Every time she would shoot in, Diniz was wrapping up that neck, and she put her in some really, really tight submissions. And I don't think that's Hardy's game, right? I think that Moura is probably going to hang on her, make this massively, massively competitive, really tight rounds. You're scoring damage versus control, but I think Moura could honestly take her down, take her back, and submit her. Even Hardy turned her back to JJ, right? And there was moments in that. So I think this is a buy low spot for Moura, who the UFC was trying to push at one point. She obviously fumbled in her last fight, but I think the grappling edge is going to make this very close. Now, I would start big time pre with Moura. And after a round, if you start seeing her fade, now we can enter on the other side and Hardy. I think Hardy will drop the first round for sure.
Okay.
All right. Next, we have Oban Elliott minus 218 versus Bassil Hafez at plus 180.
Go first. We'll go back and forth on these.
I like Oban here. I've always liked Oban. He's been my guy since early in the Cage Warriors days. On his last fight, he showed excellent takedown defense. And in Bassil's last fight, his inability to control takedowns and get takedowns really, really cost him. And I think we have a much more powerful and a much more powerful striker in Oban here and better jiu-jitsu. And he's got his own offensive wrestling, which I think can play a really big part in this. Oban's looked amazing since he's been in the UFC. Well, maybe not against Val, but I like Oban here for the win.
Man, Oban's cardio is good. It's very good.
And that's a recent thing. It didn't always used to be.
Really? You watch him in his last fight with Preston Parsons, man, the pace was going.
There's a hilarious guy that he fought one time. This was one of his losses, and this is why it's important. His name's Madars Flaminis. He's the what do they call him? The Lithuanian train. And all he did was take a pounding from Oban for a round and a half. He's one of those like Ricky Tercios types guys, like crazy jiu-jitsu, just wore him out and then beat the shit out of him. So that's sometimes where I worry. Now he gets into the UFC, his cardio is magically incredible.
Magically phenomenal, yeah. Yeah, man, Oban's hips, dude, Preston Parsons was so deep on these shots, and Oban is hipping and moving and going. Now, Bassil and Preston Parsons wrestled differently. Parsons was shooting, drop stepping, whereas Bassil tends to like blast double. And so that definitely is going to be a thing. But Oban is immediately turning and getting back up. I mean, Gall was turning and getting back up as well. He's got to watch the power of Bassil. I mean, Bassil is just an ape. He's just swinging and going.
Little cannonball.
He's wild. I like him. He's a fun fighter to watch. Oban has the volume. He has really straight punches. He has the height. I think a lot of this is going to be straight punches and volume from Oban. Bassil swinging, hitting hands, shooting. Oban defending, turning, cage controlling. And then we start to see Bassil really fade at the end of the second round and into the third round. And Oban really just picking it up. So I like Oban here. I think the overall probably hit as well because I don't think, I mean, every fight Oban has is a decision. So
which again is so crazy how he used to be. He used to be this just like on fire, comes out throwing heat, try to get you out of there, and then he would just die of cardio.
Yeah, his last 5 or 6 fights are all decisions. And I think the Shore guys over there are good. Their cage wrestling is good. Smaller gyms tend to give more time on game plan and video and personal experience. So I think it's a good camp from him to come from with this fight.
Amen.
All right, next we have Mickey Gall minus 135 versus Ramiz Brahimaj at plus 114.
Man, this is the same fight we just talked about, but the other way. Man, you've got Ramiz, who's, man, first of all, in his last fight, he did not look like he even wanted to be there.
Does he look like he wanted to be there in any fight?
I know.
If he doesn't take you down and submit you in 30 seconds, he's like...
Well, he just panics, and it's like he keeps going for lat drops and pulling people in a mount and doing these things. He's hoping that they'll work, and they don't end up working. And then he ends up on his back or in these bad positions. His striking is non-existent. His cardio... I can't tell how his cardio is because his cardio tends to fade, but he wrestles so hard that other people fade with him as well. And so I don't know. Themba did not fade. No, Themba did. He faded out a little bit in that fight. But he kept trying to lat drop him and pull him in this and that, and Themba would just like sprawl out and go.
It's like a black cat. Always lands butter side up. Is that what they say?
Man, I'm not a huge fan of Gall. I don't think he is bad or good. I don't know. I just don't think he's amazing. Actually, neither of these guys have ever beaten anybody decent. Like these guys are.
He beat CM Punk.
That's true. He did beat the CM Punk, and he actually beat Sage Northcutt. But it's funny. The guys he's beating are strikers that he tends to out grapple, and he tends to lose to guys who he can't out grapple, which is weird. And Ramiz is kind of the same. When he can't out grapple, he tends to lose. And these guys are both grappling. Like they need to win the grappling side to win. That said, I think Gall's ability to fight and willingness to fight, height, range, reach, striking. I think he's going to face a little bit of adversity first round with Ramiz just sticking to him. But then I think he's the Northeast guy, New York, New Jersey. This is in Madison Square. He's going to touch Ramiz with a jab, and the crowd's going to go nuts. So I think Gall's going to get this.
He is 6-5 in the UFC. It's kind of crazy that Mickey is 7-6 and he's still in the UFC. And then they cut other guys, obviously Mokaev and all these other people. It's just interesting. But me personally, I've been a Mickey Gall truther for many, many years, and now is the time to rise up. I actually think Mickey Gall has developed real skills over the years. I think before his striking was so weak. Like he's just a long, noodly kind of guy. And you're right. He's a good offensive grappler, but his defensive grappling's always been a liability. Just kind of like quits at some points and just breaks. I think Mickey Gall is way better than that now. We saw that in the last fight. There was a big case for him to be made in the Hafez fight, big time. And he was a massive, massive plus number. I get it. Now he's a favorite, but he's a favorite against a guy who's not good. He's a way, way, way worse version of Hafez. I think his jiu-jitsu is probably better than Hafez, but Mickey Gall, I think, is a brown belt or black belt. Like he knows what he's doing. He's been at Killcliff for a long time, training with a lot of good guys. His striking is infinitely better. He's shown improvements in his cardio. I mean, he came on against Hafez. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. I love Mickey Gall in this spot. This is going to be a good size play for me.
Nice. Good. I like it.
All right, cool. Next, we have Marcin Tybura, minus 120 versus Jhonata Diniz at plus 100.
This is a crazy one for me. I don't know where to go because, Tybura is just, he's sticky. He is legitimately a really, really good grappler, and he knows how he wins fights. His striking sometimes is abysmal. Like, he doesn't know how to throw a punch after 30 years in the game. His head movement kind of non-existent. He just eats everything. But, man, he's crafty. Man, he knows how to grapple. He can get guys down. His jiu-jitsu is excellent. I really, really like Tybura, but it sure feels like they're setting him up to get flatlined here against Diniz. My logic brain tells me Tybura is going to just take him down, dog him, and submit him. My aura brain is going to say Diniz is going to knock him out. They're really trying to fast track him. So I'm stuck. I think just to keep consistency, just what I see on tape and what I know, I'm going to go Tybura. But absolutely, could I see a Diniz knockout? 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at his age. Okay, he's 33. I'm with you 100%. I want to like Jhonata, but he's so low volume. He just is standing. He's so cautious. He's so worried about the takedown. And even like Carl Williams, man, like he should have. He did a good job of defending some takedowns early and doing stuff, and then in the end we saw him, get taken down. But Tybura's volume is good, and actually for a heavyweight, his cardio is good.
Really good.
It's like he doesn't fade out. He doesn't die. He doesn't have he's getting knocked out. He's losing to the good guys like Tom Aspinall, but who hasn't Aspinall starts like that?
John Jones.
Yeah. So then you have Sergey, who isn't Sergey grappling like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So really good grapplers, really good, these fast strikers, great. And I get it. Jhonata's a glory guy, but he's just.
The glory guys have not looked good.
They don't always look good. They don't always look good because the gloves, 4-ounce gloves, whether people want to admit it or not, man, that is a difference. But
the biggest example, Gokhan Saki versus Roundtree. He got knocked out.
Yeah. So, I get it. I know Diniz can win this, and he can absolutely clip Tybura. But, man, cardio, volume, grappling, experience, all of that upside goes to Tybura here. So I like Tybura here. Honestly, it's probably not even a bad number. Being as low as a number as he is, given all the upside, can he lose? Absolutely. But man, anyone can lose at any point at heavyweight.
The bookmakers are doing the same thing. They're saying skills versus aura.
Yeah. So I like it.
All right. Next, we have Jim Miller at +140 versus Damon Jackson at -166.
This is one that I have a hard time with for a few reasons. In this at 55, right? Yeah. Because Jim Miller doesn't grapple at all anymore. Like you rarely see it. And the last time, one of the last times we saw him grapple was, who was it? Joe Selecki, where, man, he was great until they grappled, and then he was dead tired and just laid on his back. That said, Damon Jackson is going up to 55, which I actually think is going to do better for Jackson, because Miller was a 45er as well. It's not like he's a super massive dynamic 170. It's not a Ruffy coming down from 170. Those two are different. But man, Damon's grappling is great. We saw what he did to Alex Hernandez, and I think both of these guys fought Hernandez, and they fought Hernandez very differently. Jim Miller tried to fight Hernandez in a boxing match, and Hernandez was just too athletic, and that was great. Didn't really work out for him. And Damon Jackson was like, let me grab Hernandez and grapple him and throw him to the ground. And we saw what happened. Damon actually does well with the knees in the clinch. He hangs on you. He knows how to get there. Man, watching Chepe just like hip toss him and trip him around like 100 times. That said, Chepe's judo is good, and Chepe has a gas tank for days. But Jim Miller has the freaking power. It's Jim freaking Miller. The dude just gets it. I could absolutely see Miller clipping him off of some dirty boxing, uppercut, swinging, pushing off the break and going. But I think I lean Damon because I think he's going to grapple early, and I think the grappling is going to tax Miller more than it's going to tax Damon. So I lean Damon on this with very little, kind of behind it.
I kind of expected Miller to be the favorite.
So did I. I thought he was going to be the favorite because I thought they were setting him up for that. And we all know Jim Miller is the grappler, but then we know that Jim Miller can strike a lot better than Damon.
His striking has been really, really good lately. I know the Bobby Green fight was a beating of a lifetime, but even in that fight, he had some good moments. He hurt Bobby a few times, and man, Damon's got a button on him. Like his chin is something else. I think I like Miller, just like a veteran lesson. Like I think he knows that grappling gets him tired, so I think he's going to do everything he can to stop that. He's kind of a shorter guy, so real low center of gravity. He's got the jiu-jitsu to avoid a lot of Damon's submissions and tricky stuff. And I think he knows where he wants to fight is up there on the feet, calf kicking, leg kicking, big overhands. Not with much faith, but I think I like Jim Miller in this spot.
Both of us have very little faith on both of these picks, but I think like, I think your little bit of faith might have swayed me into your side of the little bit of
these
faith
big
on it.
Jim Miller hammers.
I know. I wanted to. Initially, I was like, "Oh, this is Jim Miller, like easy." Like I was like, and
You know who didn't get Dan Igue's back?
Who?
Damon Jackson. Did he? Did he take his back?
I don't know.
Well, he got knocked out. Bad. Just seeing the amount of times, like Damon Jackson is. I hope his brain gets studied after, because his cage has been rattled so many times. That knee from McGhee, blah, 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 in PFL,
Yep.
The Ige knockout, the Topuria knockout, like every knockout is brutal. And think about Topuria, right? I mean, he didn't really have a chance to do that, and then he comes in with tight boxing, similar to what Miller's going to do.
Yep.
I don't know. I like Miller by knockout.
Gosh, I don't hate that at all. I'll stay with just Damon for whatever. Just
let's cover our bases, so we're always right.
I know. This is a one I wouldn't want to touch, because Damon Jackson's chin and cardio are such a liability,
especially his cardio too.
Yeah. I think, but I'm gonna stick with Damon. I'll stick with Damon.
Did Jim get EPO recently? Because I mean, him and Bobby like threw a million punches.
No, Jim can strike forever. It's the grappling that gets him tired.
Amen.
It's the grappling. Yeah, you could do it. Yep.
All right, next we have Chris Weidman at plus 120 versus Eryk Anders at minus 142.
Give me your thoughts.
I think I like Weidman here. I don't know why. Weidman looks like he's on some good supplements. You know, he looked better in the Bruno Silva fight. High volume. Obviously, we know he's a good wrestler, good grappler. You know, like many things we talked about, Anders is very slow. One thing I do like with Anders, though, is like his pull and then fire back combinations have been really, really clean. But he's a little slow, a little clunky, a little older, fighting in New York. You know, Chris is from New York. I think we're going to see just a heart and desire to win from Chris, where I think Anders has kind of hinted at many times, like, hey, I'm on my way out. I got rental properties. Like, I'm good on money. I'm just doing this now, finish out my contract. I think Weidman's going to do whatever it takes, and maybe it is a close fight. But Anders is a little bit low volume a lot of times too. And Weidman's going to be one of the better wrestlers he's ever faced. I like Weidman in the spot, especially at plus money.
I actually could see this fight. If Eryk would stand with Weidman, I think he could actually beat him up. Because I think he's in round one, he's faster. Like he's faster, and I think he moves better. Like, man, Weidman looked really slow in that last fight, and his stance is really kind of wide.
He's got a crazy stance. What's so funny about Weidman is he went on this tangent about, in any strict discipline, I could outstrike all the best strikers, I could out wrestle all the best wrestlers, and I could out jiu-jitsu all the best jiu-jitsu guys. And I'm thinking,
I think when he was 30, I think that might have been.
You thought his striking was really that good back then?
No, I thought it was fine. I thought it was good, and it was effective, and he hit hard, and he did the right stuff. And sometimes it doesn't have to be good. You just got to have good enough power and a good enough chin and just a good enough base to beat guys who are better than you. You know what I mean? And I think he was doing the right stuff. I don't know if I would say he was going to beat everyone, but a lot of guys, I think he would. He just looks so slow now, and both these guys look really slow. The issue is that Anders, I think, slows down more after the grappling exchanges. And we saw it with the Jamie Pickett fight. He's just wrestling and wrestling and wrestling. And I think if he doesn't wrestle Weidman, I think he can actually like pick him apart. Not pick him apart, but land the better shots because he's faster and he's a southpaw, and there's going to be some stuff going on. Now, Anders usually shoots, and he shoots a lot. And his offensive wrestling against Jamie Pickett looked good, and his chain wrestling looked good enough. But Pickett's never been an amazing wrestler. But Pickett was getting back up and doing a lot of stuff. I do not see him getting near a takedown on Weidman. And I actually think this is going to be, if it doesn't end in the first 2 minutes, I think it's going to be a cage push battle.
Really?
Yeah. And I think that
I love Weidman's single legs. It's an unexpected part of his game that he takes a lot of people. He's really crafty with it. That head on the outside single.
I think if Weidman offensively wrestles, he will win the offensive wrestling battle. And I think if Eryk offensively wrestlers, he's going to get, I think Weidman will defend it. He'll get turned, push on the cage, lean, punch and kneed, and then broken up and rinse, repeat. I think it's actually going to be a very boring, slow fight that I think Weidman wins the decision. I it wouldn't surprise me to see Eryk clip Weidman early, but then it also wouldn't surprise me to see Eryk I think whoever cage pushes better is going to win this fight.
Exciting. Tune in, guys.
Yeah.
Don't miss this one.
And the thing is, I think it being in Madison Square, I think that just favors Weidman so much.
Oh, 1,000%.
So like he lands one punch and they're going to go crazy. And then if Eryk is pushing him on the fence, they're going to boo and then get separated. So I think this is a big crowd favorite here.
Is there anyone more New York than Weidman?
No.
I mean, Matt Serra, but he's retired, and that's it. Okay. All right. Next up.
Sweet. All right. Next, we have Jonathan Martinez at +120 versus Marcus McGhee at -142.
It's you.
I can't believe Martinez is a dog here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, Martinez's strength of schedule is very, very good. And McGhee, I really like McGee's style. I like his movement. I like I think he's very good. But he beat Boyanos, who we called that ahead of time.
But he is a kicker.
Yeah, but Boyanos just stood there and wait. Like, he just stood there a lot and stared and didn't kick and tried to box and whatever. Then he beat JP Buys and then
great win.
Journey Newsom. And man, Martinez has beaten a lot of really good guys.
When you put it like that,
Now, the thing though, and this is, I think Aldo hurt him with this, and then Davey Grant knocked him out with this right hand on the body, left hook upstairs. And so that tends to be his kryptonite, is that actual combo, is right hand on the body, left hook upstairs. That said, I thought he did relatively well with Aldo, considering Aldo, what we have right there. The thing that I like most about Marcus is that he floats in and out. And if you watch that with Bolanos, I don't know if we're.
I didn't know who you were talking about at first, but
Gaston.
Bolanos, yeah.
We'll say Gaston. So, like he floats in and out so well that Gaston couldn't find, like, wait, are we fighting yet, or is he moving away? Is he in? Is he out? What's he doing? And Marcus would switch stances. And then the other thing Marcus did really well is he threw punches and bunches. Man, he did not one off. He was firing in the pocket, mixing up his wrestling. Marcus is really good. He's very physical. He does all the right stuff. I mean, honestly, he's a very good fighter. Martinez, outside of him being a little chinny, that's what I worry about. But man, he shells up really well. He does a lot of really good stuff. And I was watching him with the Cub fight because that was the closest matchup that I could think of, that, Cub moving and floating and this and that. And Marcus does check kicks, but man, Martinez would just fire him again and again and again. And he will go low and then it will go high. His boxing is decent. He shells up well. Really good knees. Man, I think the experience level is going to be big. I thought Sed actually won that Martinez fight, but just how close that was. And man, Martinez can fight. And you look at his losses, he did get knocked out by Davey Grant, but that was those two were just slugging it out. And then the Aldo fight. I don't know that Aldo is faded out as much as people think he is. It's very, how to beat Aldo is you just push him on the cage. He'll stay there. You can't take him down, but he will just let people push him on the cage forever. If you don't do that, you're going to lose against Aldo. And if you do that, you'll win against Aldo. So, man, give me Jonathan Martinez here. Just, he's younger. He's got a lot more experience, a lot higher level experience. And I think Marcus hasn't fought anybody who is actually fighting him back yet. He's just been steamrolling people. And I think he's going to have to fight Martinez. And then now it's like, who's willing to fight in that third round tooth and nail and keep going? And I know Martinez will do that.
I think Marcus is gonna really show out in this one. It's weird because I hear everything you're saying. I know how good Martinez is. I mean, what he did to Yanez was like unbelievable. The dude is an incredible kicker. Honestly, his hands are really nice too. When he does throw them, they're great. I think the power of sorry, I got dog hair in my mouth. I think the power of Marcus is going to be huge here, and not like, oh, he's going to walk out there and just KO him in the first round, but like even just him hitting Martinez's guard, his shell. I think it's going to make a big difference. I think Marcus right from the start is going to put Martinez on the back foot. And then you look at this all the time. The punches, big punches are, even if they're blocked or scored, a lot more than kicks are. It's weird. Judges never really value kicks unless that's the only thing happening.
Yeah, you could kick somebody to the head and they block it 100 times, but you punch them to the head and they block it 5 times. And they're like, oh, that counted, that counted, that counted.
Yeah.
So weird.
And so you have the big power, really precise boxing punches of Marcus. Marcus is clean with his hands. I love how he pulls and fires back, and everything's in combination. He can offensively wrestle. Like, he is a really, really good MMA fighter. Like, literally the only hole we've ever seen in his game is the dude who took him down and took his back and choked him. That's it. But obviously Martinez is not going to do that. I think Marcus is such a good striker. He's had so many high-level bodies to work with a long time. I think he's seen most every different style in the gym. I think this is his time. Push forward, counter, big shots, hurt him with power.
Do you think, I want to play just devil's advocate because you said guys in the gym, he's high-level guys, which yes, but don't you think guys like Yusuf Zalal, who has and Chris Gutierrez and some of these guys who have a very in and out switch stance style of striking, don't you think Martinez is used to seeing that for years and years as well?
I don't think either of those guys you just mentioned have big power like Marcus has. Marcus is like my height, but he's really, really built and he's really strong. And he's got better boxing than both of those guys,
yes,
I believe.
100%.
So that's the thing. Zalal and Chris Gutierrez, they're both kind of like passive strikers. They're both switch stances in and out, like you said, but they'll play back foot most of the time. Marcus is not necessarily a back foot kind of guy. He's pressing you, pulling, pressing you, pulling. And his boxing is better, and he's got more power than both guys, I believe. So has he seen the style? Yes, they've both seen each other's style a million times. Yep. They're both super high level, super good. I just think Marcus is going to do what I expected Yanez to do. And Yanez, I don't think Yanez has big power, but I think Yanez has really good timing, and he just got off to a bad start.
Well, Yanez doesn't check kicks, and what we've seen of Marcus McGhee is Marcus will check kicks.
I think that's the big difference here. So we're going to see in this fight what should have happened in that fight.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Next, we have Mauricio Ruffy -750 versus James Llontop +525.
This Ruffy guy is something else. You know, also I had a couple $1,000s on Pratis last week, rounds 2, 3, or 4 knockout. And Magny dies with like 8 seconds left on the clock. That was insane. Like, dude, you can't just like pull guard.
Magny will never die. Like, he's always like he's always doing enough to not get hurt.
I expected a death.
Wild.
I expected a body, but I'm like, dude, 8 more seconds. You couldn't have just like pulled guard or pretended, like hold on for dear life, shell up, do something. And he dies. It was horrible.
Pratis is good, man. Pratis really is good.
That dude is just like, I love that he's just like, what's your favorite activity? Hard partying. That's it. I love it. He just is a fighter's fighter. Man, this guy Ruffy is probably like a more disciplined Pratis. Like, that dude seems like he loves to be in the gym. Like, he loves all that stuff. Maybe he does party and all that stuff too, but he's like a Pratis with discipline. And man, he's excellent. I don't think we need to say a bunch about this fight. I thought the UFC really liked Llontop, and then I found out maybe not so much. He's been kind of a punching bag, and yeah, I don't think there's much to say. I like Ruffy for the win, probably a knockout. He's very precise.
Yeah, Llontop does stuff very decently. He's striking. He's does a lot of stuff.
Good pressure,
fine.
Good volume.
Yeah, he's really slow. We saw it with the who is Slava fight.
Yeah,
he throws that overhand, and man, you just see it coming from Peru, and I mean, it just is like so slow, and he reaches with it, and man, Ruffy is gonna feint and pull and fire right hands. I think Llontop is just gonna be guessing, and I think it's gonna be a pretty quick knockout. I think he puts him away in round 1.
You know, Llontop's got that style. We always, I look at it when I'm betting boxing and stuff. When you bet a knockout in a boxing fight against a guy who's very passive, it's hard to get a knockout. I like those guys to bet knockouts against guys that are like, they're pressure fighters and they're going to get countered and going to get knocked out, but they bring the action. I think Llontop, he brings the action, so he's going to be there to get hit. He's not going to be, high.
He's going to run right into stuff too, because Ruffy will throw the front kick up the middle. He'll throw the flying knees up the middle, and then he'll just put the brakes on and fire right hands.
I mean, shit, he's going to have to. If he doesn't press him, like, how's he going to get it? He's not winning on the outside with Ruffy. Yeah. Ruffy's 10 times faster, bigger, stronger, more precise. Like, it's tough. He's going to bite down, run forward.
Yeah, Ruffy is one of the biggest favorites on this card. And I think he's – the hard thing is you see these massive favorites, and a lot of times they end up going decision. And, and this one I don't think. I think it's Ruffy inside the distance.
Last week I called Jillian by decision. Everyone was really on the 2-3 knockouts. I'm like, I think this fight's going to be more competitive than is listed. So that's been a really good strategy this year is like you said, big favorites always end up going to decision. Half the fights go to decision. So when you have a massive favorite, like there you go. Just tee it up. Massive numbers.
This one, though, I think is a finish. Don't you think?
Yeah.
This isn't.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, next we have Karine Silva minus 285 versus Vivi Araújo plus 230.
Is this me?
Huh?
Well, I am the number one Karine hater in the world, and I'm the number one Vivi lover. I wish she was straight. I would do some things to Vivi, but I don't think this is going to go well for her. I still think Karine is going to get exposed pretty bad someday. But I don't know that it's here. She's just so big and so physical. And I think she's going to, although, you know what? Watching Ariane Lipski the other day was really sad. Like,
that was wild.
Everyone made so much about her takedown defense, and then she gave up takedowns super easily and just laid on her back and had no idea how to get up. And she weirdly made that fight with Silva really competitive. And Vivi's a good wrestler, and Vivi's a really good boxer.
But Vivi fades out so hard.
She does. And Karine's EPO kicks in between the rounds, and she finds a second gear. And she'll hang on to girls. She'll take them down. She'll submit them. I think we're going to see the same thing here. I don't know if it's a submission, probably a decision from Silva, but I think she's going to get it just on physicality and just drugs.
All right.
You didn't
drugs
take this
for
one?
The win.
This would be a fun one to tape.
No, I didn't.
The tape's nice on this.
Moving on.
Moving on. Drugs for the win.
All right. Next, in the featured bout of the evening, we have the biggest favorite on the card, Bo Nickal minus 1,000 versus Paul Craig at plus 650.
This actually, so, man, if you're going to give Bo Nickal anybody who he's going to be minus 1,300 on, which is going to be most people at this point, Craig's probably the only guy that has a shot to beating him based on just playing in the guard. And it's kind of crazy. Out of all the fighters, I actually think Paul Craig has the best shot to win. And if I was training Paul Craig, Paul Craig's not a great boxer, and he doesn't have a great chin. So it's hard to say, all right, we'll throw punches and force Bo to shoot, because maybe he gets clipped, so you're not there. But Paul is long, and he has decent kicks. I would stay on the outside and just spam every kick you can possibly spam, so Bo Nickal crowds the space and just gets uncomfortable and shoots, and you go triangle right off the bat.
Yep.
Or Paul Craig has got a kick, and then he's got to shoot on Bo Nickal and pull guard before Bo can get a body lock and take him down. If Bo's in his guard, that's very dangerous. If Bo is in half guard or mount or referees or anything but his guard, I think Bo just mauls him in a grappling everything. But man, in his guard, that is a very, very dangerous place for him to be. And we saw it with Cody Brundage, where, man, first of all, Brundage just shucked him off a couple of times and just was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stay up here and do this. And then he also, but when there were some exchanges, Bo, I don't want to call it panic shot, but it was like, I'm uncomfortable. I'm just gonna shoot in here. And he just ran some doubles. You do that on Paul Craig, and you're gonna find yourself armbarred or triangled. This is Bo's fight to lose. He should win it. He's got good speed standing up. His stand-up is looking better and better. He's going to be training with good guys. He has good coaching. He's a 3-time D1 national champion. He is going to have good grappling. Man, if Paul Craig can make him uncomfortable and shoot when he doesn't want to, he can absolutely find a submission. Absolutely, Bo is the A side. At those odds, to just throw a Hail Mary, something small that you don't care about money, throw down on Paul Craig by submission, because it's the only way he's going to win is by submission. Can you Will you look up what Paul Craig by submission is really
Yeah,
quickly?
let's see if they're listed.
Because look, it's probably not going to land, but you guys have neither is your 7-leg parlay, so that's not going to land either. But you put $300 on that 7-leg parlay, expecting it to hit instead of like a $50 on a Paul Craig submission. I'm not saying I think that's going to hit, but it is not the worst bet that'll ever be placed. It was like Mike Jackson. Don't you remember when Mike Jackson was fighting and he was like plus 2,000 or whatever it was?
Oh, to the Irish kid.
And then it was a DQ. And then, I mean, it was like you put $50 down on somebody like that just because the odds are so ridiculous.
I mean, his submission prop is plus 1,100.
Like plus 1,100. Put $50 on that. Like, expect to lose $50, but man, put $10 on it and make something out of it. But I don't know. That's all I got.
It is hot in here still.
Are you still hot?
I think it's because I'm sick. Maybe. It says 73. I'm so hot though.
Oh, but I think, is that off? And it's probably the heat is on, probably not the AC.
Oh yeah.
So you got to change it from heat to just turn it off.
Oh yeah, 82 is the true number.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not.
I'm with you. I think that Paul can do a lot. I'm a big Paul Craig hater again too. I hate guys that. I really wonder at the root of Paul's training how he learned to have such a good guard, because he's such a big guy, and you don't ever typically see guys with that comprehensive and that style of guard at his size. It's really, really interesting. I mean, I think Bo's going to knock him out. Probably that's essentially what is going to happen. What is the number on that?
Minus, for the knockout, I don't know. It's minus 1,300 for the win.
It's minus 175 for his knockout.
Okay, so that's not bad either.
You shouldn't be playing that on a prop. That's too much for a prop. Like, it probably, honestly, watch is going to go to a decision. It's going to be Bo Nickal by decision. He had a tough time finishing Brundage. You know, Paul Craig is happy to play guard for 15 minutes. Like, if he doesn't ground and pound KO him, then what? You know.
So does Bo just kind of pepper some shots on the outside, and then clinch push to the cage? Then when Paul Craig jumps guard, back out. Boring type of.
That's what he should do, but I don't know if he's gonna do it. I don't know. This fight is just a crapshoot for me. Like, the numbers all suck for this fight, other than Paul Craig's submission. I think there's some dangerous stuff that he could put him in, but I think Bo's just so athletic and he knows the deal. He knows what's coming.
He knows what's up. Yeah.
So I mean, not much to say here, but I would if.
Yeah, this isn't a smart bet. Like, look, Bo's probably going to win, you guys. Like, Bo is going to win. But at those odds, considering the styling, considering the details, it's like, if you want to throw a hit, if there's a crazy wild upset on the card, that's the one that I would see. I
would love to see if Paul Craig could just sweep him to the top, right? He gets taken down or he pulls guard and then just gets in on a leg and then uses that to sweep up to the top.
Well, I don't know if he'll get to you're not going to sweep Bo Nickal on a leg, but if he somehow gets then a guillotine and then Bo rolls out and then he comes up on top, something like that, I could see.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the co-main. We have Charles Oliveira minus 270 versus Michael Chandler at plus 220.
It feels so much better in here. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
You think so too?
It does.
We were all sweating. We were about to have to move again.
Again, we have to move. I have to build a whole nother shed right next to this shed just to make it cooler for the new shed.
I felt so bad. You were so proud of the video you put together of like what it takes to construct a $20,000 shed, and it's got like 100 views.
Oh, I don't even care. I just thought it was something interesting to do. I didn't put that up for likes. I did that because I thought it was interesting, and that was the only reason.
Oh my God, people crack me up. I think a few weeks ago, someone was like, they just do this stuff for likes and engagement. They think like us saying that Gaston Bolanos has a shot is like paying us thousands of dollars on the YouTube algorithm. It's like, dude, we get like 6,000 views an episode. Like, trust me.
Last one we got a lot less because I was wearing my football stuff. Like, I would just a lot of times when you mix and match, it doesn't really algorithm well. And that was a shit card too. But I mean, dude, from like Google AdSense, we'll make like if we do 4 shows a month. And they get 5,000 views, 6,000 views each.
Like $6.
We'll make like $82. It's like,
oh really? Why haven't I been seeing that money?
Well, I keep it all.
$82 a month.
Yeah, no, I keep it all.
That's Netflix, Hulu. That's a bunch of those.
Yeah, I know. What do you think? I pay my Netflix and Hulu and all
Bang
of my
Bros, all that good stuff.
all the good stuff. Yeah, but we are not doing likes.
No, come
Fuck
on,
do we
guys.
care about likes for? People hate us anyway. Like, man.
All right, what do we got?
Let's go. Let's co-main event this.
Oh, he already said it, so it's on us.
Yeah.
It's Chandler and Oliveira.
Yeah, what are the odds? Chandler's like what, Oliveira's what, minus 215?
Yeah, Oliveira's minus 270. Chandler is plus 220.
Those odds. Now, without looking, Brandon, put your phone down.
All right. Got you.
What is Michael Chandler's record in the UFC?
Ooh, he's probably got a losing record. He's probably 3-4, 2-3.
Spot on, 2-3.
Okay.
He's 2-3. He's got a win over Dan Hooker
Yes, good win.
and a win over Tony Ferguson.
A great win. Actually, and he was losing that whole
He
fight.
was losing that fight until he got it. Then he lost to Gaethje, Oliveira, and Poirier.
I mean, it's hard. He came in fighting the top guys.
He
off the
did.
start.
Yeah. It just
And
I
he is
didn't-
good.
I didn't realize that he had only fought 5 times in the UFC, and I didn't realize that he had a losing record. And again, they're top guys. If you were to ask me what was Chandler's record in the UFC, I would have said 6-3. Just seems like he's been there forever. It seems like he's done a lot more. It seems like he's had more success than he's had,
I mean, because the
Just
fights
'cause-
were good. Like the Gaethje
Yep.
fight was amazing.
and they're all super high profile.
Yes.
So yeah, and then Oliveira, that last fight, I thought he looked really good.
Amazing. Way better than I thought he was going to.
I'm actually sad. I don't want to see this fight. Not like I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it because what I want to see, and I don't think I'm ever going to see this fight, because I think if Chandler loses, he's out.
Done.
I don't know. I want
He's
to
been
see.
on the show for 2 years already.
Yeah, I want to see Arman Sarukian and Michael Chandler.
Two of the same guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
so interested in that fight and height, size wise. But I want to see Sarukian's wrestling if he can out wrestle Chandler.
I think he
um,
definitely can.
That's a fight. I was watching tape on this and I was like, man, that's the fight I want to see. We've seen Oliveira so much now that really outside of his chin being a liability, I don't know that there's. I mean, yeah, he'll play guard against Arman Sarukian, who was taking down Islam Makhachev. So
But
like
he was dangerous every single time.
no, I know. I'm saying like that's like one of the downfalls of him. Yes, he will, but even that he tries to get up at this that against anybody else on the roster. I don't think he's playing guard like that besides Makhachev and Sarukian. He's chinny, but he recovers really well. The thing with everybody knows he's got to not get chinned. I actually think of course everybody knows that. I think that what Oliveira needs to do in this fight is not press forward, because what Chandler does so well is that in and out, man. He is so explosive when he fires. His best punch is right hand by far.
Little spark plug.
He's a spark plug, wide stance. And when he goes forward with that right hand, it lands. And Oliveira has kind of a squarer stance and is a little bit more narrow. And so if Oliveira is pressing him forward, he can run into that. Now, of course, Oliveira marches the knees and he throws those teep kicks, which is going to disrupt Chandler's in and out movement. But eventually Chandler is going to come in and start swinging. And I think that's the best bet for Oliveira in round one, is to just not get hit so much with that right hand, which I think is going to cause some damage. Chandler might shoot. I don't know if he would even want to, because the submission game on Oliveira, like who needs those problems? And then, I mean, honestly, Oliveira has to not lose in round one and he wins this fight, because man, Chandler is such an ape. He's just going, and then he will punch himself out every single fight. 3 minutes in.
Look at the first fight. That was like, if you ever asked me how a fight, say they never fought, how a fight with Chandler and Oliveira would go, I'd be like, oh, well, Chandler's going to come out and probably drop him. He's going to recover. He's going to get up. He's going to take him down. And then the second round, he'll come back and knock him out when Chandler's tired. It was like, oh, okay.
Even a better example of that, because yes, that did happen, and I say it's a better example even, is watching him with Poirier, where he had a lot of success with Poirier, but a lot of Poirier was blocking a lot and, I mean, like doing well, and Chandler is just swinging and swinging and swinging, and he would shoot, he would lift it. Instead of shooting and taking him down, he shoots, turns him, and then lifts him up and power bombs him as hard as he can. It's like,
for no reason.
You didn't need to do that. And then he's just, instead of dragging him down, he's suplexing him as hard as he absolutely can. And it's like, you're just wasting your own energy. And then by the end of that round, he was tired and Poirier's like, all right, I'm ready to punch you now. and so, man, I think Chandler's a little bit older. He's been hurt in every fight. Tony Ferguson's dropping him. I mean, and then in putting it on him. He hasn't fought in 2 years. I think the adrenaline of a live venue is going to, of course, I mean, he's always in a live venue. That dude always needs a live venue. Like, fuck anybody.
Yeah.
If they ever try to put that guy in the apex, like, shame on you. You should be hung, at a stake.
Whoa. That's intense.
Yeah, you can't say that anymore. Yeah, man, give me Oliveira in a very dicey, scary first round. In a very entertaining fight.
That's the thing about paying juice on Oliveira. He's got all the skills in the world. Honestly, his skills, even against Sarukian, really impressed me. Like, that dude is dangerous until the last minute. And there was a case to be made for him that he won the fight. Like, there was a case to be made. And I think Sarukian is, like, undoubtedly one of the best guys on the planet. But, man, his chin is just such a liability. And Chandler is so heavy-handed, and we saw it in the first fight. Like, how many times can you just keep taking those poundings and recover?
But, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. I don't know whose chin is better, Chandler's, whose is worse, Chandler's or Oliveira. Chandler gets hurt every single fight, and every single fight he gets hurt and rocked. The difference, Oliveira is recovering and winning, and Chandler is getting hurt and getting finished.
Yeah, I think that Chandler's got a better chin. I think it's just because he runs in and just tries to clobber people, and then he gets countered and then hurt. Whereas Oliveira, legitimately, you just see his eyes sink back for a few minutes. He plays guard for about 45 seconds, and he's like, all right, I'm good.
Oliveira's chin, like when it's like you turn the lights off, it's like wiring. It's like you just like a rabbit bit through the wire and disconnected it, and then it's off for a little bit, and then somebody went in.
It's like when you have an old charger and you have to try to fold it around.
Yeah.
Try to get it to work.
It's torn. You have to push
don't move
it.
that.
Yeah.
Don't move that. It's in the good spot.
I know it's going. It's right there. It works. That's exactly it. And then it's just back on.
And then one jab and he's out again.
He's out again. Give me Oliveira, man. But yeah, it's always scary with the chin situation.
I just have a feeling that Chandler's going to do it this time. I don't know. I don't know why. I know Oliveira is a million times better. I know he just does everything well, high volume. Dude, his blast double.
You're not giving anybody a hot take.
Oh, come
There's
on.
no hot take over. Oh, Chandler's going to land on Oliveira's chin this time and put him out. It's like, yeah. Like, I could see that.
Honestly, the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I say this every time. I've been the biggest Charles Oliveira fan since early days, before he was anybody, because I'm like, our last names, and I want to be like him, and the Muay Thai and all this stuff's cool. I don't even know. Oh, the best thing I've ever seen him do was his blast double on Michael Chandler.
Talked yourself out of a thought.
I'm sick. Like, I'm weak right now. But his blast double on Chandler was incredible.
Beautiful.
Like, you're talking about a D1 wrestler versus a jiu-jitsu nerd.
D1 All-American.
All-American versus a jiu-jitsu nerd. And that dude just blasts him, wraps him up, turns him, takes his back. Incredible.
And on the same respect, what was impressive about that is Chandler immediately jumped guillotine
He got out.
and had that really tight and was like, whoa, that's a tight. The jiu-jitsu guy's wrestling, the wrestlers throwing guillotines.
He got Oliveira off his back.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Beautiful. That was awesome.
Oh, I can't wait for this. All right, pan up a little bit. All right, let's go. I'm going to take Charles Oliveira, but I'm not thrilled about it.
All right. In the main event, we have the GOAT, Johnny Bones Jones, minus 700 versus arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic at plus 500.
Before we get into that, don't go to the Patreon or anything or the Discord. Don't look at all of the good stuff we did last week. Donate, and I'll send you like a release form to my nonprofit, because, man, things are down. I'm going to have to pay out of pocket this month for all of that.
Oh, shit.
Do it. It's for the Ninos.
And it's, guys, no, on a real note, potholes, everybody look into the camera. It's end of the year. I'm selling my G-Wagon because I know people need tax write-offs. You just so happen to run a nonprofit. I run a nonprofit.
It is a 501c3, which I will actually send you donation. If you donate, DM me with your personal information, and I will send out donation letters that you guys actually did, so that way you guys can get credit for it.
And we will also be sending you dick glitter in the mail. I donated, and you didn't send me anything.
Yeah, it's not the end of the year. I will.
Okay. It's the end of the year, so if you need a tax write-off, I have one, you have one, we both have charities. Go ahead and donate to both of us. Just match the donations.
John Jones, Stipe. Man, like if this fight happened 5 years ago, let me put on a Hawaiian shirt and just bone out. But this shirt right now.
Is that her masturbation uniform from now on? Hey, next episode, we're all going to come in Hawaiian shirts.
All shots are above the neck.
Why does he keep shaking?
But man, like years ago, that would have been such a fun fight. And first of all, these guys' records are amazing. Stipe has 3 losses on his record. One to Ngannou, who
he's also got a win over Ngannou.
And then 2 to DC. And then John Jones has a DQ loss to Matt Hamill. I mean, he's 27-1 on record, 27-0, 28-0, whatever you want to call it. These guys really are the GOATs, the light heavyweight GOAT, the heavyweight GOAT. I honestly think John Jones is the best fighter we'll ever see. Now, I say that I know that he's had a lot of very close fights and a lot of even controversial fights that people thought he lost. And you see that in every sport when people are so dominant for so long, they just go through the motions. They go, man, like it's hard to do it again and again and again. You see close fights in boxing. Oh, they got robbed. They got this. They got that. Like, I get it. I get it. But man, on a technical level, watching that guy, if you watch the stuff that he's done and how he just never loses. He always finds a way to win. It really is impressive. And you guys may think somebody else is the GOAT. I'm not saying like maybe. I mean, you've got Mighty Mouse, who is, just Mighty Mouse. I think is the best technician I've ever
skill
seen.
for skill. He's the
skill
best.
for skill. He's the best technician. John is the most creative at the highest level. Just gorgeous stuff.
Good chin, can do everything.
I mean,
tricky.
hitting double overs, throws, putting people to sleep, like just gorgeous
athleticism,
stuff. Yeah.
everything.
And then Miocic is just wins. He's just done it. He wrestled in college. I believe it was Cleveland State or something like that. He was a D3 wrestler, I believe. But he did wrestle in college. Really good boxing, big. Just, man, these guys are awesome. This is a legacy fight over a title fight. Miocic, again, has the boxing. John Jones always had a harder time with taller guys who can outbox him. If he can't dictate the wrestling very easily, he tends to lose. Not lose, he hasn't lost, but he has a hard time. Guys with like Gustafsson in some of their fights, man, Gustafsson's boxing was great. Long jab.
Dominic Reyes.
And then the thing though, and I think John Jones is going to win this. Jones was never a fast. It's so funny because we think about how athletic John Jones is, but I don't know that he's overly athletic compared to a lot of these guys.
It's so crazy watching his very first fights in the UFC. He was insane, so fast, so athletic, everything jumping and beautiful.
He was 20 years old.
And it's weird as his career went, even in the prime of his career, when he's 25, 26, 27, he stopped doing all of that. And he just kind of walks forward, pop, pop, pop. But he used to do all that stuff.
He's physically slow. And at heavyweight, I think he's very slow. But Miocic, I think his hands are going to be much faster than Jones, but he's kind of stiff. Kind of reminds me almost of like Chris Weidman. Like he's just stiff. Older guys get stiff and they're just a little bit clunkier. I do think he's going to be faster than Jones with the hands and this and that, whatever. Why I think John Jones is going to win is because Miocic is not I think the way for him to beat John is to double his jab up, push the pace, crowd the distance and box John where he's uncomfortable, where John wants to be outside, long, rangy, grabs hands, throws teeps, kicks, mixes in stuff, then he'll shoot. He likes to really dictate the fight. But Stipe doesn't crowd the space. He actually sits back and waits and waits and waits. He doesn't jab and he doesn't force the movement. He will counter and he likes to lead with his right hand a lot. He's going cross, hook, cross, hook type of stuff. And he sits on the back foot. He does it kind of a couple ways. If people are pressing him, he sits and waits and waits. He wants them to swing so he can counter or block and then return. We saw it with and you guys, he hasn't fought in years. So the last thing we're really going on is the Ngannou fight. he fought Ngannou a lot differently than he fought other people because he fought Ngannou scared, which you would too. I would. We'd all. I mean,
honestly, how could you not fight him scared, especially after the first fight?
And then he tried to wrestle him, and because he knew that was the path to victory, and then he got stuffed out and like kind of adrenaline out, and now it's like shit. I can't take him down, and now what? Yeah, so there's that. You watch him with the Dos Santos Junior fight. He's in Dos Santos' face and actually pushing a lot, but again, it's all power, and Dos Santos was actually running from him, so he was able to lead. There's no real frame of reference lately of these long guys fighting that way. And so I think Jones is going to stay on the outside and use that range and use his front kicks and his teeps and his low kicks and his little oblique kicks and find his shot entries in his clinch. And I think he's going to beat up Stipe in the clinch at range and then clinch. And as long as John can avoid the boxing fight as a whole, I think he wins this fight. In Jones, what he did do better at heavyweight with the time off than he's done before, which I hope he doesn't, not say I hope, I would like John to win, but not like I really care. If he wants to win, I don't think you box Stipe, but John used to always float his chin kind of high and leave it up there. And in the Cyril fight, he tucked it, and he was actually in a much better controlled situation. He's got Gable Stevenson in there wrestling with him. He's got Gordon Ryan in there jiu-jitsuing with him. I think he's going to be very ready to grapple. And I think John Jones wins it, and I think he's going to finish it.
Now, what do you think about the number? Minus 700 and plus 500.
I think that is wide. And I say that especially because the number was very close on Cyril, right? Wasn't John like minus 130 or something like that?
Yeah, it was real close.
I forget the exact, but it was really, and then everyone said, man, these are the best odds you're ever going to get on John Jones, like again. But Cyril just crumbled. It
was really weird to watch. Yeah.
Stipe, I don't think is going to crumble like that. I think we're going to see a decent version of Stipe. So I am surprised that the odds are as wide as they are.
I'm going to go Stipe. There's so much I never liked about John's game, and he got away with it because he's got a really good chin and just like a weird, like eerie way. I'm just going to win. Doesn't matter how, I'm just going to find a way to do it. But man, he fought so close with so many guys, and he took so much punishment. And if this was John Jones in shape, if this was still light heavyweight John Jones, kills everybody. Even light heavyweight John Jones fighting a heavyweight, yes, no problem.
No, that's the John Jones I would have liked to have seen gone up to heavyweight. Is John Jones just not cutting weight to 205? Maybe he had 5 or 10 pounds, but not.
Yeah, still a little like soft body,
not a gut.
Still uncle body, but not a gut.
Yeah.
And I remember when he fought Thiago Santos, and he was like lifting like crazy, and then he was like so slow and just like labored. And I don't know what John Jones we're gonna get now. But
do we know what Stipe we're going to get after 17 years off?
God, I feel like we're going to see a much better version of Stipe.
You think so?
I feel like Stipe, when he was in the mix of everything, first of all, he's fighting Cormier. People don't understand how good Cormier is. I used to watch him and be like, man, this guy sucks. And now knowing what I know, I go back and watch Cormier like, dude, this guy is amazing. For having the body that he has to go, unbelievable.
Fight these guys 6-7 inches taller than him.
Every punch, outbox him, pressure him, wrestle. He's incredible. And so I think Stipe just was exhausted. Training camp after training camp, fight after fight. You could just see it on his face. That dude was like, all right, I'm good. I think this time off is going to be so good for him because he's still got skills. He still boxes. He can still wrestle. He's still tough as shit. He still has great cardio. Like everything about him is good. It seems like he just likes to be quiet and live his life. Whereas every time I see a John Jones sighting, it's, John Jones is fucked up in the club and on cocaine, and he's doing this, or he's in court, or he's doing this. He constantly has crazy stuff about him. And I get that was always John Jones' thing. Like we know personal stories that people don't even know about John Jones and his nefarious activities and things that he's done. But he was also in his 20s or early 30s, and he could get away with it. Now he's fat. I don't think he takes training as seriously. You look at his room. Yes, he brought in Gable Stevenson and Gordon Ryan. Cool. That's great for Instagram pictures. But most of his room is, who's the guy with the one eye? Maurice Green. Like,
so yes, I think there's one thing I want to add. And sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I want to get one other thing in there. Is the factor that you're not thinking of is, I think John is a legit sociopath.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest benefit here because
It's bullish for him.
Well, because John, I think Stipe is fighting to show that he can do it and to prove that he's like, I am that good and I can beat John and this and that. John, this is legacy for him. This is like he's, like you said it earlier, he always finds a way to win. And I think that is this. I think he is like, John wants to be known. I think Stipe wants to like win and have a good family and have a good life and do all of the right stuff and be a firefighter after, because he doesn't identify as a MMA fighter. He's a father and a husband and a firefighter first, and he does
Who
MMA.
also fights, yeah.
John Jones, this is it. This is his existence. Like, he is the GOAT, and he wants to be the GOAT, and he is doing this fight not because he needs the money or not because he has to come back or not because anything. He already won the heavyweight championship. He is doing this to cement himself as the best ever. And there is something about that.
But the issue is that Stipe is not a champion right now. Who's the champion right now?
Well, who is that? Aspinall is the
interim champion.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's only because there was.
I get it, but like, shouldn't the interim champion be fighting? I really believe
he wants to fight the best. He wants,
and who's the best?
Name-wise though. Name-wise, Stipe is known as the best heavyweight. He wants to beat the best heavyweight, and he's riding off into the
We're
sunset.
all pretending here like we don't know the deal. You have a guy who hasn't fought in years. He's 42 years old, Stipe. And I know I'm going against my own point of like, I think Stipe's got a real shot at this. He's 42 years old, hasn't fought in so many years, and even before then, his durability was questionable. He just looks slow and old and all of this stuff. Versus this young, hungry lion who's knocking guys out, who are also knocking out everybody else in the division, who's got skills for days, who is the next generation. If John, listen, this is my...
You're out of your mind. This happens all the time. This happens. Look, John will lose to Aspinall right now. There's no doubt about that. I don't think anyone thinks that. Look at, like, there's an issue at LFA. Henry Cejudo and Mario Bautista getting into it. Did you see that?
Yes.
All right. It doesn't make sense for Henry to fight Mario at all. Mario's like, hey, when are you going to fight me? Blah, blah, blah. Because Mario knows Henry's old. This is a good fight. Everybody, all the young guys want to fight all the old guys, but they haven't earned their ability to do it. Here's the thing. You could say interim championship and all that stuff. None of that matters. What we're talking about is name value and fight value and pay-per-view value.
Okay, so let me ask you, right now in 2024, who would sell more pay-per-views, Tom Aspinall or Stipe Miocic?
Stipe Miocic any day of the week.
You're crazy. Stipe wasn't even a big star when he was the champion.
Stipe Miocic versus John Jones, heavyweight champ, greatest heavyweight champ versus dude, this is a big fight.
Oh my God, 42-year-old Stipe.
But it's also, there's nobody in any division, whether it's boxing or MMA or any of these things, that like the older guys, these guys in their late 30s, early 40s, want to fight the 22, 23-year-old, 25-year-old young guys coming up. It's like, it doesn't, the risk versus reward. Like, yeah, I mean, you could go, why didn't anybody fight Chimaev? Everyone's ducking him. It's like, dude, hold on, take your turn. Like, Chimaev would probably beat everybody, but he had to earn his way up and build the name because the name value is not there yet. Why lose to somebody when you're not going to get paid for it?
Listen, all I know, first of all, he would get paid insane. An Aspinall-Jones fight would do 10 times the numbers that a Stipe-Jones fight. No one is interested in Stipe.
You're insane. And you want to know why you're insane? Is because the UFC would have put that fight, they would have forced that fight if that was the numbers.
John's been sitting out.
They have so many analytic people that literally go through when people are, the way that they rank the undercard and like who's the prelims.
Producer,
and all this
can
stuff,
we pull up the numbers of Stipe pay-per-views?
I'm not saying Stipe old. I'm saying Stipe versus John Jones. They literally look at all of the analytics of all of the stuff, and that's how they put like your placement on the card. And if they get like, they put Tracy, I remember one time at the like early prelims on the main event, and they were like, oh, well, she did well. And so then they bumped her up. And these are like, they know what they're doing. And this is the fight to make money for everybody.
I think Dana is so in love with John Jones. He said, who do you want? And he goes, I have young, hungry lion Aspinall, or I have old man Stipe. Let's take old man Stipe. Listen, I'll put it like this. You talk about legacy. He's coming back for legacy, and he's a sociopath. I think Roger Gracie is like, he's my idol. He's my favorite jiu-jitsu guy of all time. He is banged up. He's had a horrible body for years. He was so hurt, never wanted to come back to competition. He comes back to competition for one super fight, only one match that he does. And who does he go against? Marcus Buchecha, who just won his 12th world title, black belt world title in the absolute division. Hodger comes back after not competing for years and beats Buchecha in a super fight. That's legacy. That's the guy. Okay, you're winning only because I'm not here.
Dude, this is jiu-jitsu versus MMA. And
I
MMA,
get it. Legends.
There are actual records. This stuff matters. People are getting paid millions of dollars. Like, he's going to go over there and super fight Buchecha for $40,000 regardless of the details. This is like, it doesn't make any sense for John to go fight a young guy when he can go fight a legend.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because he would lose. And I think Stipe's got a real shot here. I just think John is fat, old, drunk, not taking it seriously. And I think that his sociopath mindset and just who he is as a person worked really well when his body was able to match what his intentions were. But I'm worried now he gets to round 3 and that gut is there, and the lack of dedication that used to be okay with him getting around it because he was young and he could. I'm worried that his body won't match what his mind wants to do. And Stipe is just grisly. I don't know. I think John will probably find a way to win somehow, some way, but the line is insane. Insane to me. Well, there you go. Now we all got to fight. We all got to fight now. Bring the guy in. Come complain. We're going to fight. Everybody's going to fight.
Oh, we brawling.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
That's what we got.